We are always looking at the shortfalls of my lifestyle. What the is wrong with that? Like, what's wrong with you? What's with the fixation? I'm a multifaceted human being. Intelligent, dynamic. You don't look at that. You're always looking at Bugebag.
If you haven't been watching the Illegal podcast, things have gotten a bit sour with Edwin.
Listen, here's a therapy that happens when you have a significant other. Remember earlier I told you in the conversation that when times were hard for me last time, I was holding on to my kids, for example, holding on to people who I know are permanent and I have a permanent agenda for them. Remember how in the previous week I told you that there seems to not be a permanent agenda in the LGBTQ community. That's why you end up now permanently at the psychologist, because you don't have a permanent partner and people to confide in and cry with if you don't have them.
I confide in my therapist. When I was going through difficulties, she was there holding me.
That's
my
the
mother.
problem.
My
Thanks.
mother was holding me. You know, no, you've been 80% of today. You've been just listening to yourself.
Okay.
Just because of when you have a wife and kids, it doesn't mean good when you are better off or on a correct path. Just because of your LGBTQ, it doesn't mean good you've been subjected to trauma. That's a blanket statement. Just because of your LGBT or you belong in the LGBT community, it doesn't mean good you are forever or continually depressed. And just because of you have money, it doesn't mean good you are self-actualized. And you can be self-actualized and be depressed now.
Continue, Edwin.
I'm done.
You are meandering through the exceptions. You are going to the exception. You're showing me the person who never got abused. Trying to defeat what I say. You're showing me a person who's never been discriminated against. I don't know which LGBTQ person has never been discriminated against.
The ones that are in the closet.
Edwin, I'm saying there's a serious statistic, there's a serious truth. That is not my view. It is a reality of a church that does not seem to be solving any problems that it has.
What church is that?
The church of the LGBTQ.
Okay,
the church of love.
My question is...
It's full of people without love.
No, you know...
The church of...
My question is... I use the word obsession. Every time we come into this space, you're always looking at the LGBTQ and our shortfalls. Look, no one is perfect living under the sun. I have said this a million times and I will say this again. There is no one perfect living under the sun. So for you to sit there and point out the flaws or what is going wrong in other people's lives doesn't make sense to me, because of you should be looking at your heterosexual life. I only think about my gayness every time I'm here. I don't wake up and think I'm gonna fixate on my gayness. I only fixate on my gayness when I'm with you. Do you know that?
Damn. This is whataboutism, Edwin.
It's not about whataboutism. Don't play a semantics game with me now.
I told you guys, Edwin has forgotten the context with which we are talking. We've been getting to know each other.
Yes, we've been getting to know each other.
You being a member of the LGBTQ,
but
Edwin.
That is not the entirety of my being.
We've been discussing what we've been discussing so far, Edwin. We're still going to discuss more things in the future, Edwin.
Every other episode we're always touching from,
Okay, does this...
It never comes from you. It never comes from you.
What, the LGBTQ?
Issues that are affecting the LGBT community. It never comes from you. That's what's baffling about Neo. It never comes from you. And we were talking, you know what? I don't understand what's Neo's agenda with the LGBT community, because of this Sipo. On the other hand, you are living your best life. You are focused on your heterosexual life. You are, you've never made any comments as to my Gabo Gaybaga. You are living your best life. On my right wing here, every other conversation that we have, there's always LGBTQ, always LGBTQ. Hence, I've come to the conclusion that, you know what? No, you are projecting, my friend. If you've got issues that you need to deal with, go to a therapist and stop using me to as a punching bag. No, go deal with your issues in a therapist room where it's a safe space. We can't always be talking about Bugebaga or what's happening or my shortfalls. There are a lot of things that are going wrong in this world that we should be talking about. You are a heterosexual man. Look at your heterosexual life now. Focus on it. Develop your life. Stop looking at us and where we are falling short. Straight, is it not?
I am.
Yes, focus on the issues that are straight.
Damn.
I never come on this platform and say, they killed an LGBTQ. No, my sleeping with another man, my wanting to build a life with another man is a part of who I am. It's not the entirety of Edwin. I have a career. I paint. I'm a model. I'm a businessman. Those are facets that you could be looking at. You never look at those facets. I have a successful career. You don't look at that. We are always looking at the shortfalls of my lifestyle. What the fuck is wrong with that? Like, what's wrong with you? What's with the fixation? I'm a multifaceted human being. Intelligent, dynamic. You don't look at that. You're always looking at at Bugayback.
Sipo, remember when I told you about the victimization?
I'm not victimizing myself.
Okay, you continue talking.
I'm not victimizing myself. I'm saying, Gucci, there's an issue here.
Will I have an opportunity to talk?
You've been talking 80% of the time, 80%
so
of
no
this
more should I talk?
You try and listen this time round.
No, I need to reply.
No, there's no need to reply because of that.
Now you're being a fascist?
That says, Gucci, you're not listening.
No, Edwin, you're being small. You're being petty now.
Listen to understand.
No, I need to respond. You asked the question.
You've been talking 80%
you framed.
You've been talking 80%.
Let me let you talk.
Yeah, you spoke 80% of the time. And always, you always focus on pointing out what is wrong with the LGBT community, how we are suicidal, how we don't have lasting marriages.
In what context have I been raising that? Listen to what I said earlier. With care and concern. Sipo,
don't play
remember,
that.
there was a previous episode where I say we never able to see eye to eye because you're forever being painted as a mujahideen, sword-carrying, gay people burning. Having a civil discourse, a conversation that we've agreed to have, for example.
No, we can't always be
about
discussing
ourselves.
The same thing.
Mamel, we're not discussing the same thing, Edwin. We're not discussing the same thing.
I'm going to ask you a question. Did you not touch on LGBTQ issues last week?
Yeah,
Sipo.
The week before, did you not touch on LGBTQs? Or
the
on
approach,
gentlemen, wait.
Speak, Sipo.
You know what?
If
If
you find balance into this
wait,
thing.
Edwin,
We
speak.
need to find balance into
Look,
this
if
thing.
you are viewing this thing, we're not the audience member. Please go back to every episode where I've been part of this podcast. Is Neo not always focusing on Bugayback? And I'm like, what's wrong with Bugayback? Like,
Ask the question. Ask the question.
You are
and
not
let
asking questions. Where now you are.
Ask and let the answer be given. What is my focus? Are you asking?
Thank you. Last week, did we not talk about LGBT
Are
issues?
you asking?
Sipo?
He doesn't want the answer.
The previous week, did we not touch on LGBTQ issues?
But improve the quality of your argument, not the volume, Edwin. You've become very petty. You've degenerated.
No. Don't play semantic game with me.
No,
I'm
Edwin.
asking Sipo. I'm addressing Sipo. Keep quiet. Why are you rambling? Keep quiet. Sipo, ever since I've started working with you guys here, every other Wednesday, are we not talking about LGBT
When did
issues?
Edwin pop off? What point was I making? Because I want to point you to the fact that we were speaking about paying consideration so that we can care for people so that people don't hurt themselves.
Sipo,
Yeah, Edwin.
please. We always touching
we were
on the
showing
LGBT,
each
and
other
I'm like,
problems.
what-
Listen,
you know,
this is a
there's
perspective
so
that I've
many
always
things
wanted
that are
to
going
know
wrong
from
in
Edwin.
the world.
In getting to know him. When Edwin came for the second time here, he had on a shirt that spoke of who he is and the activism that he does.
No.
I've been wanting
No.
to learn Edwin
No.
for
This is
who
me telling
he
you who I
is
am.
and
This is-
more things.
You are
I've
not
been wanting to
listening.
discover Edwin
This is
slowly.
me
We were going to get into other things. We've only had 5 episodes. Which number episode is this?
Akizi, listen, if you're wanting to know about Edwin, I'm telling you about Edwin. I am Edwin. My sexual orientation is a part of who I am. It's not the entirety of who I am.
It is not. Yes.
Yes.
You are Edwin.
So stop
I've said-
micro-focusing
No,
on
listen.
it.
I even said on that day where I was wearing a mask, I said, you know what? We're going to be having issues, I get, from a place in life that we hardly get to see as guys. But not only that, Edwin is a guy who is, who has dreams, who is capable, who has a direction of where he wants to go. I've spoken last week about Edwin and my admiration of the things that he knows, the things that I'm learning from him. Listen, this is the question that you asked, if you want it answered, about what is my interest in the LGBTQ? Now, Edwin, being a Christian.
Wow.
You want to interrupt. You don't want the answer.
Okay,
You
cool.
talk.
You've been talking. Let's.
Edwin, Mamela, Edwin. Ne? I am what you'd call somebody who likes and studies ideologies. I've been an ideologue. In the political space, you've heard me talk about the left and the right. We've had conversations about capitalism and communism. We've had conversations about the working class versus the top 1%, the privileged, right? People have ideas. People are principled. People are led by what they believe, and they end up living it in every aspect of their lives. So when somebody is said to be a liberal, you can expect certain qualities from them, right? So you'll find in the United States, for example, places that are called to be liberal states. So people there live a particular life. And then when you go elsewhere, there's a different life to it. All of these lives are in the United States. Now, I've been interested in these different ideas in the United States, in South Africa, and across the world. I'm interested in people's spiritual identities, because once you believe in a particular spiritual idea, it tends to play out. People end up dressing according to the spirituality that they have. People start to decorate their houses according to their spirituality. People start to go to certain events. People start to observe certain days.
I'm still waiting for the part where you tell me about the LGBTQ.
Mamela, listen to what I'm saying. I'm getting there. Edwin. So now, the LGBTQ, deny it or not, it's an ideology. It's a sexual identity, and it comes also with an ideology. People live in a radical, interesting kind of way. Me, I'm interested in that in the same way that I'm interested in all other ideologies. This, for example, here's another thing where I connect a bit, and I'm interested in the LGBTQ. In South Africa, we've got the Economic Freedom Fighters. This is a young party, only 10 years old recently, and it's a party of radicals. It's a party that is appealing to a disenfranchised youth in a time in their life where those who are above them are not paying attention to them. Just like I made an example of Hitler rising to power in conditions like these where people are seeking an identity, we've observed also a time in history like Woodstock. Those Americans who went and became hippies and whatever, they were anti the war in Vietnam, and they decided to be a group of young kids who go out in microbuses, who smoke weed, do LSD, and go to concerts. So the radicalism and the lack of a place created a certain generation. It shaped a certain kind of people, and I'm interested in all of these different kind of people. Now, you've so far shown yourself to be the person who understands that I don't understand you. You've said you can hear my ignorances, and we've agreed to allow each other to learn over time. Allow you to teach me, and allow for my ignorances to be exposed. And for me to also question and to understand you better. Now, we've only been on a few dates when Edwin, like Boma 5 or so, getting to know you. I've honed in first on the part of you that interests me the most, and it is the homosexuality. It is. I've explained why. If you still find it weird, just go rewatch this video and understand why I have a desire to understand. Listen, an idea shapes a people, and they become a particular people. So now, Edwin, I'm living in this time. I'm an adult. Here's another reason why I'm interested in the LGBTQ. It's a public discourse. I have children, for example. I have to have a particular way of raising them. I need to decide. I need to know, how do I, in spite of these tweets where an LGBT person says that my sister Heidi Lebana, how do I, teach my kids the world that they are living in without being discriminatory, without being hateful as I'm painted to be? Because of my Christianity in particular, I am trying to demonstrate love that the Bible actually says we should have for people. I've only been getting to know you, Edwin, and you've allowed us to have this conversation. And this conversation today started because it's a continuation of that which was starting last week. And I've given you context out the whole week when I was living my life. I was, looking at Edwin and saying, I wonder how Edwin is doing. And out of care, out of compassion, out of, a need to say, I wish Edwin is having what I'm having. I pray for you, Edwin. Are you crazy to go off and act like I'm a crazy man out here? You Tomile. How?
Are you done?
I'm done.
If you like this clip and you want to watch another, click here. If you want to watch more of the dynamics between Edwin and I so far on the Illegal podcast, watch a full episode here.